Good morning, children. So I told you met last time that we'll be doing the exercises. We'll be discussing the exercises, but there's a slight change in plan. So I'm thinking of first finishing off with your half yearly syllabus. Okay, and we are left only with one chapter. So let's quickly finish that, and then we'll move on to the exercises. It is discussion of exercises. Okay. So I request you all to open your the chapter, this 21st chapter, if you have the book, and if you don't have the book, then also it's okay. Okay, so we are going to start with the new chapter and the last chapter of half yearly, that is punctuation and capital letters. All right, so see, this chapter is very easy and the easiest chapter, I would say, but it holds a great importance in English language because it forms the basic or the foundation when it comes to reading, writing, and even speaking, for that matter, English language. All right, so without the punctuation, we would not be able to comprehend the expression or the meaning of the sentence which we are reading or which we are trying to say. We are not able to express ourselves unless and until we use the we use the punctuation, right? So you people must be very much familiar with all types of punctuations. Nothing new. You people have been reading about it, studying it since very small classes. So let us begin quickly and we'll be ending it very quickly. First is capital letter. Very well aware, we all are very well aware that we begin our sentences using capital letters. Okay, and this is the basic characteristic of a sentence. When you studied the chapter on sentences, then also you must have come to this point that whenever we begin a sentence, we begin it with capital letter. All right, and again, in between the sentences, when we encounter any proper noun, okay, and proper noun, what are proper nouns? Like the name of the person, the name of the exact name of the place, country. It can be the name of the book, title of the book also, and anything which is proper, which is unique, which is one of its kind, that is known as proper noun. So um, we use proper noun for that purpose also. Okay, as you can see over here, Jenny, it is the name of the person. Then who lived in King Street, this is the name of the place. So again, you can see the letters which are written in purple, they all are they are all denoting the proper noun, and we are using capital letters to write them. Okay, then in Manchester had a pet frog who liked to jump in the air. Then she wrote, see here we are beginning a new sentence after the full stop, so we are using the first letter as the capital letter. Then there's the name of the book, that is the Leaping Frog. So we will be writing each letter of the first letter of the book as capital letter. Okay, so this is all about capital letters. Now we come over to the next, like the first punctuation mark, that is the full stop. Full stop are always needed when to take a pause when we complete a sentence. Okay, they divide the sentences so that we know where to pause. If we go on speaking without taking a pause, then we'll not be able to understand like what is the meaning of the sentence or what the person is trying to say. Okay, so full stop are needed to give the break to the sentences which are being spoken or which are written. Next, full stop are also used for after the abbreviation. Abbreviation is short form of something. For example, here you can say that see MA is written. It is the name of the degree, and but the full form of it is Masters of Art. So we'll when we write it in abbreviated form, we place a full stop. Okay, period. We also call it a period. Next is when we shorten the any name like doctor, engineer. Okay, then also we write it in short and put a period, yeah, full stop. Also, if when we write the initials of a name, like you can see Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, this APJ is the initial of our former president. So you can see that here it is the elongated version of his name, that is Dr. Abul Pakir Jainul Abdin Abdul Kalam. So instead of writing all the whole name, he used to write APJ. And here also you can see that full stops are being placed over here. Okay, next. As you can see this paragraph, whatever it is written over here, you can find that no full stop has been used anywhere. So a sentence without full stop would look somewhat like this. Sean was eating a large pizza. He was getting fed up with it. He decided to give this. So we are not able to make out that what the sentence is trying to convey. Okay. So if we place a full stop, if we place a full stop over here, okay, yeah. So we will be knowing that this is one sentence. Then if we are placing a full stop over here, this will again be in a capital letter. Okay, so to the dog till here will be the second sentence, and again the third sentence here it will come, capital letter will come. And now this is the correct form of writing the sentence. All right, moving on. To the next punctuation mark, that is comma. Comma, it is the shortest pause, okay, which is put between the words. So we need comma to separate the items in a list when there are so many items or so many things which are written which needs to be separated using a small pause or short pause. Then we use comma. For example, here you can see the sentence: she had a ham sandwich, a drink, a jelly, and a chocolate bar for lunch. So all these things she had for lunch. So we are like she is having multiple things for lunch. So we are placing a comma in between them so as to know that we are enlisting these things as a part of lunch. Okay, so again, commas are also used to separate clauses in complex sentence when there are like two different clauses in a sentence. Like here, the boy was playing with a football. Okay, but then what kind of football? Which had been signed by Wayne Rooney. Okay, so this is the two clauses. Here you can find two clauses, and these are separated by comma. Also, we are used the comma is used to separate date or month from the year when you're writing letters. Okay, formal letter, informal letter, then you write this kind of date. Okay, so when you write the date and then month, then you place a comma, and after that you write the year. All right. Also, when you'll be doing the direct and indirect speech, there also you'll find that when you are writing the reported speech, okay, then after the reporting verb that is said, you place a comma. Next, okay, now to indicate an omitted word in a parallel construction in a sentence, what does this mean? Just a minute. See, here you can find I like rice. Okay, this is the first part of the sentence, and the second part of the sentence is saying my sister also likes bread. My sister likes bread. So here we are omitting likes. Okay, when we are talking about the same kind of parallel sentences means the sentences are having the same construction and almost the same similar meaning. Then when we are omitting this word like, okay, which is understood, well understood, then we use this comma. Also, when okay, we also place comma when we are trying to separate a non-defining relative clause from the rest of the sentences. Now, what is non-defining relative clause? The clause which is relevant, but without it, the sentence will have a complete meaning. Okay, and then there are defining clause, which means that without defining clause, the sentence will become incomplete. It will remain incomplete. But without non-defining clause, the sentence will not remain incomplete. It will be complete in itself. But this is the extra, you can say, description or additional information given about the noun. So there also we place a comma, but it is only for non-defining relative clause and not for defining relative clause. Okay, I have told you the difference between non-defining and defining. So her brother then, who is a pilot, this information is not as important as to complete a sentence. Her brother has been transferred, this sentence would also have been complete in its sense. But if we are placing an additional information, then we place it using a comma. Two sets of comma before the non-defining relative clause and after the non-defining relative clause as well. Next, to separate items which might be mistakenly read together. Okay, when you are writing a sentence and then it happens that two similar words are written next to each other, then also we place a comma. For example, you can see the sentence over here, what he is, then you place a comma, is not known to us. Okay, if there would have been no comma over here, then the sentence would have become ambiguous. It would have led to confusion. Then the sentence would have been like, what he is not known to us. Okay, without the pause or without the comma, we could have not understood the meaning of the sentence. Umid, kindly pay attention, beta. Next come the question marks. Question marks is but obvious. It is used where we are asking a question. Okay, nowhere else. Quotation marks. Quotation marks are used first of all in the direct speech when we are conveying the exact same words spoken by somebody. Then we use this quotation marks. All right, it can be single also and double also. So whenever it is also known as speech marks or inverted commas. All right. So when we are conveying or when we are telling the same exact words spoken by the speaker, then we use this these inverted commas or quotation marks. Now exclamation marks. Exclamation marks, they are used to like for certain expression, okay, to emphasize meaning on something of something, right? So then we use the exclamation mark. Um, Next is semicolon. Now semicolon is what? It is also used uh, to to mark a pause. Okay, but this pause is somewhat longer than the pause denoted by the comma. So this semicolon, it is a bit longer than the pause which is denoted by the comma. All right. But now where this punctuation mark is used, let us see. So it is used to separate coordinate clauses if they are not joined by conjunctions like and, but, for, however, therefore. So wherever you find these words, you just place a this semicolon before it. Okay, if you're finding, you find a word like therefore or however, all right, and the two clauses should be uh, like they should have some connection. Then you can place a semicolon over here. Now in lists with internal commas, okay, now what does this mean? When there are several lists and some items are combined, some items are grouped together and they are different from the rest of the items which are grouped together. So if you have different groups which have multiple items in them, then we use semicolon over there. Let us look at the example and then it will become clearer to you. Okay. So here it is. The new colony has a grocery store. Okay, now we are talking about grocery store. And then there's a park and a swimming pool on one side. So on one side, these three things are grouped together. Then we are talking about the other side. Okay, so there, here we will be placing a semicolon. Okay, so when we are talking about the other side, other group, then we place a semicolon and then we write the items of that group using the comma. All right, next. To separate two main clause when a conjunction is omitted. When there is no conjunction, there also you write this semicolon. For example, he has lost his friend, then he is really sad. Okay, there is a connection between these two clauses that he has lost his friend, and that is why he is really sad because of that. But here we are not placing any, we are not joining these two sentences using a conjunction. So when such type of situation arises, then we write semicolon. Okay. Also to separate the clauses for the sake of emphasis, when we are trying to emphasize on something, to emphasize on a certain part of the sentence, then also we place a semicolon. For example, he wants money to spend, friends to talk, cars to drive, a house to live in. So these the different things we are laying in emphasis upon, therefore we are placing a semicolon over here and not comma, because all these are separate, they do not have anything in common. Okay, but we are laying emphasis on these: money to spend, friends to talk, all these things. Okay. Next is colon. Now colon lies between, like in terms of pause, colon lies in between semicolon and full stop. What does this mean? That the pause which is denoted by colon is somewhat longer than semicolon but shorter than full stop. So if we place these punctuation marks in order in terms of pause, they denote, then it comes from ascending to descending. It comes like comma, it is the shortest pause, then comes semicolon, longer than comma and shorter than colon, and then comes colon, and then at last comes full stop. Okay, so let us see what colon is used for. So it is used to introduce list. Okay, when you are saying, when you write in your answers that the reasons for this and this, following are the reasons for this and this, and then you enlist the reason. So after writing this sentence and the following are the reasons, you place a colon. So to introduce a list, we use a colon. Next, we use it for in between sentences when the second sentence explains the first. When the second, there are two sentences and the second sentence is explaining the first sentence. It has some history in the first sentence. Okay, like here you can see. Remember the old saying? When we place a colon, all that glitters is not gold. So all that glitters is not gold is what? It is an old saying. So here these two sentences, they are relevant. They are related to each other. So we are placing a colon right here. Next is to separate two contrasting and statements also. So it is used to in between the sentences where both the sentences are similar in meaning, not similar in meaning, but they are somewhat kind of assertion and reasoning type of thing. Then also we use colon and to separate two contrasting. Contrasting is two completely opposite sentences. There also we use colon. Here it would be colon, and there's a typing mistake for which I'm extremely sorry. So here it will be a colon. Okay, you know what a colon is? Two dots, one below the other. So to err is human, then to forgive is divine. We are talking about two completely opposite entities over here. So a colon will be used, and is also used to write the time also. Okay, when we separate the hour from the minute, then also we write, for example, 10:30. So 10 and then colon and then 30 will come. So there also we write colon. Now comes hyphen. It is used to form compound nouns or compound adjectives like father-in-law, mother-in-law. Okay, then this is the compound noun. Now, what is compound adjective? Adjective is made up of two words. Like there's a four-footed table. So here also we place a hyphen. Next, it is used for compound numbers also, like 26, 34. Okay, with some prefixes like ex-serviceman, great grandmother. Here we use hyphen. Now comes apostrophe. Apostrophe is used to write the short form of the words, like I have, it is contracted as I have. Then we are placing a apostrophe over here. Then do not is contracted as don't. Honorable is also written like this, you can see. Okay, and then it is also used as a sign in possessive case. Possessive case means it is showing the belonging of a thing to the person. For example, here it is written Danish's book. So what does this mean? That this book belongs to Danish. So in short, we will be saying Danish's book. Now n dash is what it is used. It is used to represent a span or range of numbers. Okay, and also used to denote time or link the terminal points on a route. For example, when you say that this building is 40 to 50 years old, so when we are writing it in like while we say, then we use to represent an n dash. Okay, but when we are writing, then we place this dash, and this dash is longer than hyphen, and shorter than m dash, which we'll be doing after this. So 40 to 50, it is read as 2. All right. Also, when we write our session, okay, like you are in class 7th and your session is 2020 to 21. So this is the session, and there in between 20 and 21 we place an n dash. Okay, that is not a hyphen. That is an n dash. Also, when we are writing the terminal points on a route, okay, from where to where something some from where to where supposedly this flight is going, that is it is going from Delhi to Mumbai. Okay, so here also we will place an n dash. Now, to show a partnership between two countries, India Bangladesh agreement, here also we write n dash. Okay. The last, which is m dash. So m dash is used for what? It is used in pairs to set off extra information or ideas that are not essential for the understanding of the rest of the sentence. Okay, so some non-essential information, if it is given somewhere, then also we place an m dash. Now m dash is somewhat longer than the n dash. Okay, it is longer in length, so you should know the difference between writing a hyphen, how to write a hyphen, n dash and m dash. See, if this is a hyphen, okay, a very short uh, bar, then this is an n dash and a slightly longer is an m dash. You getting it? Are you people getting it? These three things. Okay. Next, it is used in pairs where we are providing some additional or non-essential information. So let us look at the example now. While I was shopping, then dash, wandering aimlessly up and down the aisles. Okay, actually dash, I ran into our old neighbor. So all these you can see that wandering aimlessly was what? It is an additional information. The sentence could have been like this also. While I was shopping, I ran into our old neighbor. Finish. But then she is giving the speaker is giving an additional information about him or her, that he or she was wandering aimlessly up and down the aisles. Okay. So this is not very important in order to complete the sentence. So there also we write m dash. We place m dash. Then to show a break in sentence, how do we place a break? Let us look at the example. Dinner is at 6:30. It is at 6:30, not 6:29 or 6:31. So when you are breaking a sentence and not giving a complete sentence next to it, then we place an m dash. Okay. If you want to say it like this, dinner is at 6:30 and it is not at 6:29 or 6:31, then we would have placed a full stop over here. But we are not giving it a complete. If you look at this part of the sentence, you can see that it is an incomplete sentence. Okay, so when we are breaking two sentences in such a way that the other part is incomplete, then we place an m dash. Okay, so children, is it all clear to you? We have done all the punctuations. Any problem to anyone? Yes, Sumit, you want to ask something? Why did you raise your hand? Before that, from tomorrow, we'll be revising English literature. Okay. So for tomorrow, you will be logging in with the same English language ID only, because tomorrow is what? Wednesday. Okay. So on Tuesday and Wednesday, your English language class is scheduled. But in tomorrow's English language class, we'll be doing the revision of English literature. All right. Am I clear to everyone? You will be logging in the Zoom class using the same English language ID. Is that clear to everyone? All right. Have a nice day. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you,
Thank you,
teachers.
teachers.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank you,
teachers.
ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
teachers.
teachers.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, teachers.